Hello guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and it's finally here, my first 2028 presidential election prediction. So first I'm going to go over the candidates. I have JD Vance and Marco Rubio for the Republican nominees. JD Vance is the incumbent vice president. He's basically, unless something like major happens in the Trump administration, he is the front runner for the Republican nomination far and away. And then for Marco Rubio, he has a bunch of different VP picks. He could pick Joe Lombardo, Marco Rubio, Glenn Youngkin, but I think his best choice is Marco Rubio to be able to bring out a lot of Latino support coming out of areas like Florida, which can help him in places like Arizona and Nevada. And then for the Democratic side, I have Josh Shapiro. He's not polling the best right now. If you look at the Democratic primary polls right now, you'll see Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom and like maybe Pete Buttigieg or something. But I do not expect that to hold. Josh Shapiro is probably going to win by a massive margin in 2026, his reelection, and that's going to help boost him up. And a lot of the reason why Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom are at the top of those primary polls is just name recognition. I do not believe Kamala Harris is going to run for president in 2028. And even if she did, I don't even know if she would win the primary. I think Josh Shapiro is both the most likely person to be the Democratic nominee in 2028 and the best person for the Democrats to nominate in 2028, like the best candidate. And then for his vice president, I picked Raphael Warnock. There's a couple different options he could pick here. He could pick Wes Moore, Gretchen Whitmer, but I think he picks, or Ruben Gallego. I think he picks Raphael Warnock. He can bring out black turnout, help him in the Southeast, and that can really help him. If he picks Gretchen Whitmer, that could help him more with the progressive vote and areas more like the Rust Belt. But as of now, I think those are the nominees for either party. Now let's get started with the election itself. So first, the safe states for Josh Shapiro. So the states that I think will go to him by more than 15 points: California, Oregon, Washington. California's been shifting to the right a lot. Whereas in contrast, Oregon and Washington have been shifting to the left a lot, but I think they're all over safe this time. Colorado, which was likely this time, but I think it is over 15 by 2028, just because it's been shifting to the left very fast, and I think that trend will continue. Then you got Maryland, D.C., Massachusetts. Rhode Island is like bordering 15. It did shift to the right a lot this election, and I think it will continue its shift to the right and its trend to the right. But for now, I think just because the national environment shifts to the left, I expect, I think it is over 15 for the Democrats. And then you got Delaware, Connecticut, Vermont, and Maine's first, and then Hawaii, which has been shifting to the right a lot, but I still think it's comfortably over 15 points. Now for the Republicans, you've got Utah, Idaho, Wyoming. Montana could be under 15, but I doubt it. North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska. Nebraska at large is around that 15-point threshold. It is shifting to the left a lot, but I think it's barely over 15. Then Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia. Indiana could be below 15, but I think it's just above. And then, weirdly enough, Florida. Yeah, Florida's been shifting to the left, or shifting to the right, sorry, so fast. And I think, like, there's no stopping it. The South Florida is just going to continue to shift to the right faster and faster and faster. And it was already R plus 14 this time. I expect it to continue to trend to the right and be over 15 for JD Vance by 2028. Now, for the likely states, for Josh Shapiro and Raphael Warnock, first you've got Illinois. This is a state that's been trending to the right a lot. It only went to Kamala Harris by around 10 points, which is insane because it went to Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Joe Biden by 17 points. And I think that trend to the right continues, but it does shift to the left just a bit, just because I think the national environment shifts to the left a lot compared to 2024. So I think it's around like a D plus 12 to D plus 13 win. Then you got the state of New York. This is a state that's been solidly Democratic for decades. It went to Joe Biden by like 28 points or something. And then it went to Kamala Harris by 11. It shifted to the right by a mind-blowing margin. I think it's the state that shifted to the right by the most in 2024, either that or Florida. And yeah, New York City trends are just horrible for Democrats. Long Island trends are horrible for Democrats. And I think it will be around D plus 10, maybe D plus 12. Like, because it's trending to the right so fast, but I think the national environment shifts to the left a lot. So it's like fighting between the trends and the shifts, but I think it's just around 11 points. So it barely shifts to the left in 2028. Then you got New Hampshire, very anti-incumbent, and it was D+2 in 2024 when it was tilt D in 2016, even though the national environment in 2024 was more Republican. So I think it's around like D+7. Virginia, it loves its moderates. And you got Josh Shapiro, who can shift a lot of the moderate areas like Nova back to the left. There's a lot of Democratic shifts happening in like the Richmond area, which he can also bring out. And then he can bring out black turnout in areas that are high in black population. So I think he wins it by around like 8 points, something like that. And then you got Minnesota. I'm thinking like D+7, D+6. It went to Biden by around D+7 in 2020, and it went to Kamala Harris by around 4 in 2024. I think that it's going to be around like D+6 in 2028. Just the Twin Cities have been shifting to the left very fast, and even if Republicans gain a lot in the rurals, that's just not enough because Minnesota suburbs just don't budge for Republicans at all. So I can't really see them even making it quite close. Speaking of suburbs, you got Nebraska second, which is Nebraska might redistrict it out and have it be like safe Republican by like having the entire state vote statewide. But for now, I don't think that happens. And I think it is around like D+10, maybe D+8. It was only around D+4 this time. But I think it shifts to the left a lot. And it's around like D+8 to D+10 since it's largely just suburbs. And Josh Shapiro will do great in the suburbs. Then you got New Mexico. This is a state that's been like kind of trending Republican, but not really. And I think that if Shapiro can do well in the suburbs, that cancels out a lot of the effects of the border. And if he does good on the border, which I think Democrats will kind of gain a bit on the issue of the border, since I think he will moderate a lot on that. Then I think it's only around like a D+7 to D+9 win for Shapiro. And then you got Maine. I think this is like D+9. Kamala Harris won it by like 7, which is crazy. It's been a very Democratic state as of late, and I think it's around like like a D+9 win to even maybe D+10. And then finally, you've got the state of New Jersey, which I think is around like a D+7 win. It shifted to the right, like shockingly, in 2024. It was only like a D+6 win in New Jersey, which is ridiculous. When it went to Biden by like 16, 17 in 2024, or in 2020, sorry. So it being D+5 is insane. It's been shifting to the right like crazy. North Jersey especially, it's been getting some of those New York trends. I think Shapiro can stop a lot of that bleeding and even possibly reverse it temporarily, but it is trending to the right a lot, and it is going to be competitive very, very soon. But for now, I think it barely stays out of the lean category. It's around like D+7, something like that. And that's it for the likely states for Josh Shapiro, Raphael Warnock. That puts him at 226. Now for JD Vance and Marco Rubio. Starting off with the state of Kansas. This is a state that's been trending to the left a lot of growth in the suburbs for Democrats in Kansas, and I think it's eventually going to be a competitive state, but for now I just don't really see it. I think it's around like a R+11 to R+10 win. It could be below 10, but I don't think so for now. And then you got Maine's first. It's basically like the outer suburbs of the Omaha area. And much like Kansas, it's been shifting to the left a lot. It's actually one of the only areas that shifts to the left. I think it's the only like electoral vote that shifted Democratic in 2024, which is crazy. And I think it's around like under 10 in 2028, like R+9, maybe R+8, something like that. But I do think it will get closer and closer and even be competitive eventually in the future. Next, I've got the state of South Carolina. This was one that trended to the right a lot in 2024. Like shockingly, I had it as like R+13 or something. It was like R+17-ish, which is crazy. That was like a 17-point shift to the right. I do think it falls down to under 15 again. but not by much. I think it's only like an R plus 17 or an R plus 14. I think it's only like an R plus 14 win. Next, we got the state of Iowa. This is one that I think will trend to the left just a little bit, but that's enough for it to shift to the left quite a lot. So it's only like an R plus 10-ish win for JD Vance. Then we got the state of Ohio. JD Vance's home state. I think it's also around R plus 10, maybe a bit lower, maybe a bit higher. Trump won it by 11, and I think the home state advantage really helps him out here. But I think Josh Shapiro could have a lot of appeal there for like the working class in Ohio and especially the suburbs. But I do think it is barely over 10%. Maybe it's a bit under, like around the 10% margin. Then we got Maine second. This was like R plus 10 in 2024, and then like R plus 8 in 2020, something like that. I think it's around that same area again, where it's like around R plus 8 in 2028, something like that. And then we've got the state of Texas. This is one that's been weird. I had it as like R plus 4.5 in 2024. It was not that. It was R plus like 14, which is ridiculous. It's like every single trend favorable to the Democrats just reversed. And was favorable to the Republicans, like all the suburbs of all like the metro cities. And all the trends that were favorable to the GOP just accelerated, like in the Rio Grande Valley. It's like ridiculous. Republicans are making so many gains here. I do think Josh Shapiro helps here a lot, and it does trend to the left a lot this election, in this election, to where it's like around an R plus 8 win. But I cannot see it being competitive, remotely competitive, in 2028 or for any time soon, because Jesus Christ, like what we saw in 2024 was just a complete destruction of any dreams from Democrats of a blue Texas. And the final likely Republican state that I have is the state of Alaska. This is a state that's been trending to the Democrats a lot recently. It's one of the states that swung the least to Donald Trump. It was only around like R plus 13 when it was R plus 10 in 2020. And this is largely just Democrats gaining a lot in the suburbs and the urban areas, whereas Trump is gaining a lot in the rural areas with a lot of Native Americans. And I think that shift will continue to where Republicans gain a lot in the rural areas, but Democrats gain a lot in the suburbs and in the urban areas, to where Democrats overall make a lot of gains here. And it shifts to the left quite a bit in 2028, where it's around like an R plus 9 to R plus 8 win. And I do think eventually it will be a competitive state in like 2032, 2036. And now we have the 7 actual battleground states. I do not think the battleground states change from 2024. It is going to be these 7 states, I think. You could throw in like a New Jersey there, possibly, if things get bad for Democrats, or if the trends in New Jersey just continue to accelerate. But as of now, I just think these are the baseline 7 swing states in 2024 and in 2028. So starting off with the lean Democratic swing states, you've got the state of Pennsylvania. This is Josh Shapiro's home state. Now, areas like northeastern Pennsylvania and metro Philadelphia have been shifting to the right. However, areas like Pittsburgh and the areas just outside of Philadelphia have been trending to the left for Democrats. So it's a lot of a mixed bag. It has been shifting to the right overall as a state. But I think Josh Shapiro being from the state, having a 60% approval rating in the state would be enough to get a lot of that home state advantage in a state where it really matters. So I think it's around a D plus 2 to D plus 3 win. And the second and final lean state that I have for Democrats is the state of Georgia. This is a state that has been worrying many Republicans for years, and we finally saw that get fully confirmed in 2024, where like the entire nation swung to the right by 6. However, Georgia was only R plus 2.2, which is ridiculous. If you look at the county shift map across the entire country, you see everywhere shift to the right, except for some places in like Utah and Colorado, the WOW counties in Wisconsin, and the suburbs in Atlanta, specifically southern Atlanta. And that's what's been carrying the Democrats. The suburbs in Atlanta have been helping them. Republicans have been making gains in the rurals of Georgia, but Democrats making gains in the suburbs of Atlanta, especially southern Atlanta, that's what's been helping them. and making this state slowly trend to the left enough to where I think by 2028, it will be to the left of the nation. And past 2028, I think it will just be a Democratic-leaning state. And Raphael Warnock can bring out a lot of the turnout the Democrats need in the state of Georgia with his home state advantage, and I think it will make Democrats win the state of Georgia by around 1 to 2 points. And that's it for the Democratic-leaning states. Now for the Republican-leaning states, I have two. And first off, the state of Nevada. This is a state that's been shifting to the right a lot. Republicans just took the lead in voter registrations in the state of Nevada. And they've just been making gains across the board, especially in Clark County, which is where Las Vegas is. They've been gaining a lot there. Democrats have been making some gains in the Reno, Nevada area, but it's just not enough. Nevada is a Republican trending state, and I think JD Vance selecting Marco Rubio, helping bring out some of that Hispanic turnout, would just be enough for him to win the state by around 2 to 3 points. And the final lean R swing state that I have for Republicans is the state of Arizona. This is a state that, shockingly enough, has been shifting to the right as of recently. We've thought since 2016 that Arizona has been shifting to the left, and it will continue to shift to the left, much like Georgia. Arizona and Georgia, the two states that are trending Democratic forever. It continued for Georgia. Arizona, though, no. And that's largely just because while Kamala Harris did gain a bit in the suburbs, that was completely just tossed away by Latinos, just completely shifting away from her and Democrats as a whole, which made Ruben Gallego only barely win against Kerry Lake, which is ridiculous. And Kamala Harris lose the state by a likely margin. That is insane. And I think it will be lean Republican in this scenario. That is insane. And I think in terms of 2028, Josh Shapiro could make a lot of gains in the suburbs, and he could win back some of those Latinos, but I just don't think it's enough to bring the state to that close of a margin. I think it's around an R+3 race here, and that is just my current prediction. So with the lean states all filled out, that puts Josh Shapiro and Raphael Warnock at 261 electoral votes, JD Vance and Marco Rubio at 236. Now for the tilt Democratic swing states, starting off with the state of Wisconsin. I know a lot of people looked at, not Michigan, Wisconsin. Okay. I know a lot of people looked at Wisconsin in 2024 and thought, oh, the Wow County shifted to the left. Door County shifted to the left. Wisconsin is clearly shifting to the left. Honestly, I don't think so. The suburbs in Milwaukee, the Wow counties, are shifting to the left, and Dane County is giving Democrats a huge boost. But Republicans are making their own gains in areas like the rurals. So as a whole, even though the state did technically trend to the left in 2024, I think it is just basically a neutral state at this point, to where any gains that Republicans might make, Democrats make those gains too, and vice versa, to where I think it remains just a complete toss-up state going into the future. And I think just because of the national environment and Josh Shapiro making gains in those suburbs and Raphael Warnock being able to bring out black turnout, I think that's just enough for them to take the state by a tilt margin. The state has been a tilt state every year since 2000, except for Barack Obama's years, and I think that will continue here. Wisconsin is just not a state that goes to a party by a large margin. It is a tied state always, unless your name is Barack Obama. And I think that tied state status will continue. And I think it will be a tilt Democratic state. Now for the final, that put Josh Shapiro over 270. I didn't even notice that. So yeah, all you need is Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin if you're Josh Shapiro to get over 270, which is why I think he is a strong favorite over JD Vance, because those are three states he's actually really strong in. And it makes it pretty easy for Josh Shapiro to cross over that 270 mark compared to JD Vance. And now for the final tilt Democratic state that I have for Josh Shapiro, and it is the state of Michigan. This one's weird because it trended to the right, or it shifted to the right a lot in 2024. It was shockingly to the right of Wisconsin. It was R plus 1.5, which is crazy. Because I expected that to be a lean Democratic state. Most people did. Even a lot of Republicans had the state going to Kamala Harris, but no, it was a Republican state. It was R plus 1.5, which is shocking. And that's largely because Democrats have a major problem in Wayne County, which is where Detroit is. Democrats are just losing a lot of support there. And I think Josh Shapiro could bring that back Raphael Warnock can bring out black turnout. Josh Shapiro can win a lot in the suburbs and bring a lot of those Democrats back. But he still has the core issue of Detroit, and especially Arab American voters, which aren't going to like him because he is somewhat pro-Israel, and that's not really going to work out a lot with them. So I think that does hurt him, which is why he only barely takes the state, but I do think he does take the state of Michigan by a tilt margin, so under 1 point. And then the final state on this map is the state of North Carolina, and I do think it barely goes to JD Vance and Marco Rubio. However, it's just a complete toss-up for me. North Carolina was a likely Republican state in the early 2000s, and then after 2008, in 2008, it went to Barack Obama. It shifted to the left by like 10 points and went to Barack Obama barely. And then it just went back to being a leaning Republican state, where it was just consistently like an R+5 to R+1 state, just always just in between there. Democrats never really seemed like they were able to break into it on the federal level. However, it has been slowly just inching closer and closer to being a toss-up state. And I think by 2028, we will finally see that. If there were 3 states on the map that I think were beneficial to Democrats, looking at their trends from 2024, it was Georgia, North Carolina, and Wisconsin. And that's largely because Democrats made a lot of gains in Western North Carolina. They lost a lot on like the coast and I believe in the Black Belt, but that can be helped a lot by Democratic gains in like metro areas and Western North Carolina. And if Raphael Warnock brings up black turnout, Josh Shapiro helps in the suburbs, and the state just continues to trend Democratic as a whole, I think they could win it. But as of now, I think it barely continues to go Republican, but it could go Democratic. So that's my prediction. Josh Shapiro, Raphael Warnock with 286 electoral votes, flipping the states of Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, and then JD Vance and Marco Rubio with 252, holding on to Nevada, Arizona, and North Carolina. Thank you guys so much for watching. I believe the national environment here, or the popular vote, would be around like D+2, maybe D+1.5. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Let me know what video I should make next. If there's any matchups you want me to make, let me know, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye.